Hello, everybody. Peter the Book Lover here. This is my cat Layla, my Cinnabon, and I want to thank you for being here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top 25 books that I read in 2025. And there's a lot of books on this list, and I am really looking forward to talking about it. So let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. Peter the Book Lover here. If you're new here, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. And let's talk about the top 25 of 25. I've got a lot of really interesting books here in this list. Now, the thing about it is that I didn't write down all the authors' names, so I'm not going to cover authors on most of these books because I really don't remember the authors. But I have 25 books that I really enjoyed this year, and this is like a countdown. So let's just start with number 25, and that is going to be Winnie the Pooh. Now, Winnie the Pooh is a fantastic children's book. I really recommend it because it's got wonderful characters in it. It doesn't have the character of Tigger, unfortunately, because that's one of my favorites of Winnie the Pooh. But it also has Igor, it's got Rabbit, it's got Piglet. Piglet is a wonderful character. And chapter 7 of this book is a chapter that really made me laugh a lot. So I highly recommend it. It's great for children and adults. So Winnie the Pooh is number 25. A.A. Minnie, I believe. I can't remember exactly the author's name. Some of these books I don't remember the author's names, but some of them I do. Okay, so next we're going to get into number 24. Now, number 24 is If the Cats Disappeared from the World. And this is a Japanese story. And this is a story about a guy that's told that he's got a week to live. And then he gets visited by the devil, and the devil makes a deal with him that if you give something up in life, you get another day. And this is to where he gets an extra day, and then at the end of each day, he has to decide something else to give up. And it's really interesting on some of the things that he gives up. And part of this story has a talking cat in it, and it was done really well. I really enjoyed this book a lot. It was a short read, but a very enjoyable read. So that is number 24. Now, 23 is going to be a 5-book series of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This was written by Rick Riordan. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And this is a 5-book series. What this is about is based on the Odyssey characters, Clash of the Titans and Jason the Argonauts, Greek mythology set in a modern setting. And Percy Jackson is a son of a god. And this is a 5-book series that's got an arch to the story. So the reason why I'm doing the original series, there's more books in the series apparently, but I'm talking about the first original 5 books of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, starting out with Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. It was really good, interesting stories, and I really enjoyed this book series. And it's got a nice little arch to the stories, and it's got really great characters and a lot of great action in it. All the books are really great. I was going to pick a favorite of the series and just put that on the list, but I figured that I'd put the whole series on the list, and that's going to be number 25. Now, number 22 is the classic The Red Badge of Courage by Stephen Crane, I believe the author is. And this is a story set in the World Civil War, and this is like you follow this soldier and the lessons he learns during the battles. This was a really interesting story. It was really short, And for a war book, it wasn't really that harsh, man. It's kind of mild for a war book. It didn't have a lot of graphic violence in it. But it was a very good book, and it's a classic. And I really enjoyed Stephen Crane's The Red Badge of Courage. That is number 22. Now, number 21 is a book based on a movie, but I believe this book was written before the movie. This is Dragon Slayer. Now, this is a wonderful movie. I really love the movie, and I also really love this book. Now, this book has parts that are not in the movie. It's a little bit different than the movie, so there's that. And it was a really wonderful book to read. I really enjoyed this. Very entertaining. If you ever get I don't know how rare this book is. It's probably rare. It's probably expensive if you want to get it. But if you get it, you should be very satisfied because it was a very good book. If you're a fan of the movie, you should really love this book. Now, number 20 is a book written by Stephen King, and that is The Stand. And this is the extended version of this story. And I haven't read the cut version of this, the one that came out in 1970. I'm not sure, but in the 70s. And this extended version came out in the 90s. Now, I might have a higher opinion of the cut version because, in my opinion, the reason why this is kind of low on the list is because it was a little bit too long, you know what I mean, for what it was. But this is an incredible book. I really love the villain, Randall Flagg. I love the characters of this book. There's so many wonderful characters in this book. There's another villain, Harold Lauder, that was a really interesting villain. It's got great parts into it. This is a plague. I love the way it starts out, and there's a lot of parts of this book that I really, really love. And I hopefully one day I'll get a chance to read the cut version of this, and I might actually have a higher opinion of that. So, number 20 is The Stand. Although some people actually rate that higher. Some people say that this is their number one book. But I wonder if they're saying that about the cut version opposed to the non-cut version, the extended version. But number 20 is The Stand by Stephen King. So the next one I'm going to talk about is a book by, I forgot the name of the author, Jim Murphy, I think it is, and that is The Great Fire. This is about the Chicago fire, and I read another book about the Chicago fire before I read this. This was really good because it really gave you the experiences of people of what they went through while this fire was going on. And this book does an interesting thing. Every chapter, they show you a map of the city, and then they show how the fire grew, which was really excellent. I really loved that part about it because you could see the area the fire covered. And this has some first-hand accounts, which was really excellent. I'm from Chicago myself. I've always known about the Chicago fire, and this was interesting reading about the fire. I really enjoyed it a lot, and that is number 19. Now, number 18, this is a book about Crazy Horse and Custer. And this is a story to where it covers the life of Crazy Horse, and it covers the life of George Armstrong Custer. This was really excellent because it kind of you went back and forth between Crazy Horse's life and Custer's life. This was very interesting. This there might have been some liberties taken with this story, but at the same time, this is pretty close to actual history. And I learned a lot of things about the Indians, and I learned a lot of things about Custer. And this was a really entertaining read. I really enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed Crazy Horse and Custard, man. And if you get a chance to read this book, this was a wonderful story. And I actually plan on reading more books about this time period, the war between the Indians and the Union soldiers. Okay, so the next book that I read, number 17, is the classic Catcher in the Rye. Now, this is a reread for me, and I really enjoyed this book a lot more the second time around. I had a different opinion of it the first time that I read it because I knew about this influenced Chapman to shoot John Lennon. This is J.D. Salinger. I remember the author's name of this. But yeah, this is a story about a teenage boy, and it's a first-person book. You're hearing the thoughts of Holden Caulfield as he's kicked out of school, and he's debating telling his parents about it, and he has adventures for about 4 days, and it winds up because on the cover you see that horse, and that's actually a carousel horse, a merry-go-round horse, and it's ends with the meeting with his younger sister, and it's pretty much just him going on about life, and he's an interesting character, and it was fun reading about him. This is a big classic. A lot of people have heard of this book, and I do recommend it. It was a good book for me as well. Okay, so that's 17. Let's get into 16. Number 16 is Mrs. Dalloway. This was written by Virginia Woolf, and this is another reread. Now, this book is a book that definitely is improved once you reread it, because when you first read it, you're a little confused. And the reason why this is confusing because it's like it's going from jumping from conscious to conscious. So this is not set. It's kind of like in first person, but it's jumping around from person to person to person, and you're going through their thoughts of remembering the past and what they're going through at the present moment. And there's this party that happens. There's one of the interesting parts about this book is there's a person that's stressed out because he was a soldier in the war, and he commits suicide. And at the party, they actually talk about this. They hear about this person committing suicide, and they talk about it. And it's kind of interesting in how they thought about it. Yeah, and it was a really interesting book. A lot of people kind of criticize this book, but I actually think it's an actually really good book, especially going through it 2 times. Okay, so the next book that I'm going to talk about, I kind of made a mistake. That's the thing about editing these videos. It takes a long time, but you could fix mistakes like this. I kind of skipped this one by accident. But number 15, and this is going to be Fight Club. This is written by Chuck Palahniuk, and this is a fantastic book. I really don't want to give away the twist at the end, but this book has a really fantastic twist. This is about a guy that spends a lot of times that's not mentally ill, but he goes to a lot of counseling meetings with people that are mentally ill, and he creates this club called Fight Club, and it's a really excellent story. I seen the movie first, and it's a really excellent movie as well. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. There was a lot of really crazy and amazing things that happened in this book. But Fight Club is number 15, and I highly recommend it. Let's get back into the list. Okay, well, now we're going to talk about book number 14. And this is, I forgot the name of the author. But this is World War Z. And this is a novel that's told after a zombie war has happened, and this is like first-hand accounts of what the people went through during this zombie war. Now, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, or if you're a fan of Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, if you're a fan of zombies, this is really great. A great book with a lot of parts with zombies in it that were really great. One interesting thing this book covers quite a bit are people getting bit by zombies that were underwater for a long period of time. and that's something you could think about. Zombies, once they're in the water, they live, they survive, and they could still bite you after they've been underwater for a long time. Uh, yeah, and then also interesting thing about this book is the way they talk about zombies being your enemy and how they're the perfect enemy. They're an enemy that doesn't need supplies. They don't need like food except for you. They need to eat you, and they never sleep. They don't need shelter. They're the one of the hardest things to fight. Yeah, and Fight Club. I'm sorry. World War Z is an excellent novel. Max Brooks, I think, wrote this. But yeah, this is a really wonderful book, and I highly recommend this. I don't recommend the movie though. The movie I didn't like at all. But this book was great. Okay, so Layla's back, but we're going to talk about number 13 now. And this is another children's book. This is Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim. Brian O'Connelly, I think the author's name of this book is. Now, I was very familiar with the movie The Secret of Nim. And this is a book that came out before The Secret of Nim. And this is a story about a mouse that's got a sick family member and she wants to get her house moved. So she goes to the rats to help her move her house. And both the movie, the cartoon, Secret of Nim is wonderful. Plus, also, this book is really incredible. Very intelligently written book, and I highly recommend it. It's definitely a great book. And that's number 13. Now, number 12 is a movie that I was familiar for the longest time, and this is King Kong. And believe it or not, you wouldn't think this would be a fantastic book, but King Kong is definitely a fantastic book. I really, really enjoyed reading the book. It's a little bit different than the movie, but it really is... reminds you of, the original King Kong in 1933, although it also reminds you of Peter Jackson's King Kong. It's quite different than the King Kong from 1976. But yeah, this was a really, really wonderful book. I really loved the line that kept on repeating, "The beauty killed the beast." And it was a really, really interesting read. I liked reading about the dinosaurs and everything, and definitely entertaining read. And I'm definitely planning on reading it again. So we're going to go into another number 11, and this is by Franz Kafka, and this is Metamorphosis. Now, I've only read this once, and I want to read this again, but they say that if you look at this, you read this many times, you're going to see different things than the first time you read it. Me, I'm just looking at it at the surface level, and this was a really interesting story. This is about a person that just wakes up and he's been transformed into a bug, and how he deals with it, how his family deals with it. And yeah, this was a really excellent book. I've heard about this book for a long time, and I'm really glad that I read this short story. It's really incredible, and I highly recommend that one. Metamorphosis is number 11. Now, number 10 is a book called Water for Elephants. Now, Water for Elephants is a story that was written by somebody that did not experience this event. This is a story to where it's an old person reminiscing about his time with the circus. And it's really, really feels like somebody really experienced these things. But when you finish the book, you find out that the author is a female, not a male, and she, through research, she came up with this story. And this story was really fantastic. Water for Elephants is a fantastic book. I highly recommend it. The parts when he's older and he's talking about it is really great. The parts when you go back in time and you're at the circus, it's really wonderful. If you have not read this book, I highly recommend it. This is a book that I read one time, but it really stuck with me. And it taught me the word menagerie. Menagerie is a group of animals. And I learned about the menagerie. Yes, and this was a really, really great book, and I highly recommend it. Water for Elephants. I think it's Sarah Gruen, I believe the name is. Okay, now number 9. Number 9 is written by Stephen King. This is a reread of this book, and this is one of the best ghost stories ever. This is The Shining. Now, I am a bigger fan of The Shining by Stanley Kubrick. He changed a couple things around, and I think that Stanley Kubrick improved the movie, improved the story the way that he told it. I mean, he actually replaced these hedge animals, which is kind of a shame because the hedge animals were a really good part of the book, but he turned it into a hedge maze, and he did a really good job with that. So I really love The Shining by Stanley Kubrick. It's one of my favorite movies, but this book is also really excellent. Yeah, and it's one of the best ghost stories ever. This is a haunted hotel, and the reason what makes it so scary is because the spirits take over an actual human being, and they actually can make him think that he's drinking alcohol, and he actually has alcohol in his breath from the spirits. And yes, this is a haunted hotel, and it's a really wonderful story. Yeah, and I read this. This is 2 times that I've read this, and my opinion of this book increased by reading it the second time, because I wanted to prepare for reading Doctor Sleep, and there's a sequel. That's another good book as well. But The Shining is number 9, and I highly recommend it. Okay, number 8. Now, this is a 3-book thing. This is the Star Wars original trilogy. I read these 3 books in one book. So this is one book, but this has 3 stories. We got A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And reading all these stories was really wonderful, man. These books were... I really am a big fan of these movies. So when I was reading the books, I had a lot of visuals while I was reading this book. And all 3 of these stories are really wonderful. They go together great. Star Wars is great movies, and I really love the movies, but I really love reading Star Wars a lot as well. The books are really incredible. Yeah, and all the stories are great. So number 8 is the Star Wars trilogy. I would highly recommend that if you get a chance to read all 3 books, because all 3 stories were great. And I love them about the same. I'm always having a struggle picking out my favorite of it. Sometimes it seems like whenever I watch each movie, when I'm done watching the movie, that's my favorite. And then I watch The Empire Strikes Back, and then that becomes my favorite. I still love these movies, and I watch them all the time. And I love reading the stories of these movies. It's really incredible. And that is number 8. So number 7 is by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And you know, it's The Great Gatsby. Now, this is a book that I read a long time ago, and I didn't have a high opinion of, but then I reread it, and this was really wonderful. I really love this book. I could see why this is such a classic. I plan on rereading this again. This is a story about a rich guy that's in love with a woman, and he couldn't get this woman because he was poor. And he loved this woman so much that he figured out a way to become very rich and throw these big parties. And this is kind of a love story. It's a really great story. If you haven't read, if you read The Great Gatsby once and you really don't have a high opinion of it, read it again. It will probably grow on you a lot. maybe it might take you 2 times to read this, but don't give up on this book because this is a classic for a reason. It is an amazing story, and I highly recommend it. Old sport. Okay, so the next one is number 6, and this is going to be Schindler's List. And this is another time to where we got a book and a movie, and there's a lot of things in the movie. I mean, I prefer watching the movie than reading the book, but this book was really incredible. I really enjoyed reading this book. You really see how they came up with the story of Schindler's List, and yeah, Amon Girth is a fantastic villain. Schindler was an incredible hero, an actual true to life hero, and he did a lot of wonderful things. He saved a lot of Jewish people from a lot of horrible things. So you got to give it up for Oskar Schindler. Really, really incredible story. Okay, so next is going to be number 5. This is another case to where there's a movie and a book. Now, the book is a little bit different than the movie. This is Marathon Man by Goldman. I think William Goldman. And this is a story about a Jewish person that has some diamonds stashed in the USA, and he has to go to the USA to recover these diamonds. This is a thriller, but man, I really love the movie, but this book really was an incredible book. Every chapter ended in a way to where you wanted to keep on reading. This is definitely a page turner. I really love this book. Some ways the movie improved on this book, but at the same time, this book was really incredible, and I just really love this book a lot. So that is number 5, Marathon Man. So number 4 is, I forgot the name of the author, but this is Hatchet. And this is a wonderful story, of course. This is number 4. So this has got to be really great books when we get to this part. And this is a book that has absolutely, positively not a single boring sentence in this book. This book is wonderful. This is a story about somebody getting stranded for about, 50 days or something like that. And how he learns how to deal with this. How he gets stranded is really incredible. How he gets into the situation has a great opening. How he deals with it is really incredible. How he gets out of the situation is really incredible. And then the epilogue is really great because he actually does research on all the things that he encountered while he was stranded. And it's fantastic. A lot of people will recommend Hatchet, and I recommend it as well. It's a fantastic book, 100%. So, number 3. Now, this one is Russian literature. This is a book that I recently read twice. And this is a book that I liked the first time, but I was a little confused. And this is a book that I feel like I could read 3 times to really understand the story completely. This is The Master and Margarita, written by Mikhail Bulgakov. I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And this is a story where the devil goes to Moscow, and he's got retinue with him, and that's 4 other characters. These 4 other characters have all these powers. They do all these crazy things. One of the characters is Behemoth, and he is a black cat that can walk like a human being, and he was a fantastic character. They have powers to teleport. They have powers to do everything. Plus, this book goes actually back into the time of Pontius Pilate and Jesus Christ, and it's really wonderful. This is a satire novel, and there's also an interesting story with the author on how this book came out after he died. So he wasn't alive to see this book be successful. But yeah, this is a really wonderful book. It's a book that's a little hard to understand when you first read it, but once you start figuring what's going on, it's got some really great parts to it. There's a magic show that's just wonderful. I highly recommend it. It's really great. The thing about it is, this is considered one of the best books in Russian literature, and Crime and Punishment is of Russian literature. So a lot of people put this above Crime and Punishment. I don't. I still think Crime and Punishment is a little bit better. But The Master and Margarita is number 3, and that is a fantastic book. I highly recommend it. Now, number 2 is another fantastic book. Of course, it's got to be, being number 2, and that is All Quiet on the Western Front. Enrique Maria Marque, I think, is the person that wrote this. And this is a story about a 20-year-old kid that enlists when he's 17, and it's a first-hand experience of what he went through when he actually signed up to go fight. And the thing about it is, he was really excited to join up when he went, but once he got there, he found out that war is hell. There's a lot of really interesting scenes in this book. There's a scene to where he's hiding in a hole, and somebody jumps in, his enemy jumps in the hole, and he kills the enemy. And then later on, he starts regretting killing this enemy. And it's got this ending that's really incredible, man. Oh, man, the ending is really great. There's in the beginning, there's a part to where there's a soldier that's dying. He's on his deathbed, and there's a soldier there that's a good person, but the only thing he could think about is that since you lost a leg, you're not going to need these boots anymore. So can I have your boots? And the dialogue about that was really interesting. There's a movie in 1931, I believe, that's based off of this book, and that is an incredible movie as well. But All Quiet on the Western Front is, it says on the cover, one of the greatest war novels of all time, and you can't really argue with that, because it is. All Quiet on the Western Front, that is number 2. Now, number 1 is another book it's actually 2 stories, but it usually, when you I have quite a few versions to where both these stories come together, kind of like Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. And the number 1 thing is Call of the Wild and White Fang. Now, you could take Call of the Wild by itself, and I could put this high on the list. Call of the Wild is an incredible book. It really has no wasted time in that book. It's an incredible story about a dog that actually is living in a house, and one of the servants of the house actually winds up selling him to pay off some gambling debts. And this dog, Buck, you go on an adventure with him where he becomes a sled dog to where they, pull people over the snow. And it is a really incredible story. I really, really love Call of the Wild. But usually when you find Call of the Wild, most of the time it comes with another book, White Fang. And White Fang is another book that's longer than Call of the Wild, but this is like the opposite. This is a dog that's in the wild that winds up becoming a dog. And this is a wolf that actually becomes domesticated at the end of the story. And the way White Fang starts out, the first 3 chapters are kind of like a horror novel, because there's a person that's stranded out in the open, and he's being surrounded by wolves, and these wolves are pretty brutal. So yes, this was a really, really excellent book, and the reason why this book is number 1 is because you've got these 2 fantastic stories. Jack London is the author, and he did a really great job. I have The Sea Wolf, and I'm going to be reading that pretty soon. Jack London had, and also the version that I had, it also had the story Bastard, which is another really great short story in the book that I read. So Call of the Wild was an amazing book, and that is my number one. I really enjoyed that a lot. It's a classic for a reason. So there you go. Say goodbye. That's it. So those are my books that I read this year. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. It would mean a lot to me. And yeah, I got more videos coming in the future. I'm in the process. I'm saving my money, and I'm going to be getting a microphone soon. So pretty soon my videos are going to sound a lot better. Sorry for the background noise. I heard a siren back there, and you know, I'm actually going to get a microphone soon so I could mask that. So that's the video. I want to thank you for being here. I am Peter the Book Lover, and I hope to see you in the next video.